Welcome back to the class, everyone. When CG originally added the Relic 9 tier for the raids, we were all a little disappointed that it also didn't come with an entirely new tier of rewards. That being said, what it has done is allowed for a variety of different combos to be able to max out the raid rewards. Which is exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. 4 different methods to either accomplish now or plan towards to be able to max rewards in the Order 66 raid. Now, when I say max rewards, I am specifically referring to the last box on the personal track, aka getting a score above 12.15 million. Now, it is worth noting that if you do this, or rather if everyone in your guild does this as well, you will also get max rewards for the guild, and these, quite frankly, are actually quite a bit better than the personal track. But getting back to the actual team splits themselves, the first one we're going to look at is going to be really focused on efficiency, aka using as little resources as possible, leveraging a lot of undersized teams. The first two that we're going to talk about are two that have been quite a bit in the spotlight right now, which is the Tarkin Scorch on one team and the other remaining clones on the next team. Now, I realize this is easier said than done, but it has been proven that it can work, and in reality, this is awesome, because not only do the clones love to be at Relic 9 under Lord Vader outside of the raid, inside of the raid, a 2-man duo, that is about as good as it gets, and then a 3-man team is also really cheap, all things considered. Now, it is worth noting that due to the bonuses, they really do all have to be at Relic 9 to pull this off, so that is part of the equation. Now, that does, for this method, also help you go pretty lean on some of the other teams, which again, if we're overall trying to be efficient, this is probably the best strategy that we want to go forward with. In addition to that, Keller on Beck is another efficient model. Again, this is an easier said than done one. A lot of this one is not going to be the easiest route to go. It's just going to be the least impactful overall on your roster, assuming that Relic 9 isn't one of your biggest bottlenecks. That being said, if you can take Keller Beg and Jocasta up to Relic 8 to meet Plo Koon, who is already required there for Ahsoka, they can max out the Relic 8 tier. It should be noted that if you are going to try to underman, doing it below the Relic 8 tier is going to be very difficult, given the fact that they get specific bonuses both for their faction as well as for Jocasta at that Relic 8 tier. If you are at the Relic 7 tier, though, you can actually just add in other characters that were also required there, like Shaak Ti, or maybe leveling someone up even further like Ayla as another option, but we'll talk about that more in some of the other methods. Now, assuming you have maxed out these two teams and you have Keller on back, we can actually double check our math here, see that 2 max scores times 2, add in the 2.7 that'll come with the Keller on Beck team, we are very, very close to maxing it out. So all we have to do from there is take both the Bad Batch team as well as the Mace Windu team up to Relic 5, which is nice because that's actually where the Mace team is currently required at least as far as the overall requirements go. And we add in those 1.2s, and we very safely get over the 12.15. So again, this is probably the most efficient overall, but at the same time, probably not going to be the most fun, considering these two runs are actually not super great to do. The next method I want to look at is going to be one that really reduces the amount of Relic 9s. We were calling this one the efficient method, but at the same time 5 Relic 9s. Again, if that is one of your bigger bottlenecks, that's not great. So following this method, we can take the clones and Tarkin all the way up to Relic 8, which is great because they can still max out that score. Granted, you can't split them at this point, so they're kind of stuck there. Again, repeating the theme of the Keller on Bag, Jocasta Nu, and Plo Koon team, you can add more if you want to make that easier, but again, if we're trying to go for a low amount of relics, that's where we're going to stick for this method. For our R9 for this team, we're actually going to go ahead and use Mace Windu, Temple Guard, and Depe Billaba. Now, what you could do is swap these two orders, and you could actually have the Mace Windu at Relic 8, and Keller on Beck at Relic 9, but I find this way a little bit easier, especially considering Mace Windu himself gets a very specific bonus at that Relic 9 tier, that while Keller on Beck's, his teams, most of the bonuses they want are already at Relic 8. While they're not prohibited from Relic 9, they're actually there too. It just seems to be the better split overall. This means that if you take Bad Batch all the way up to R8, which I will be honest, is probably the tier they perform the worst at. They are really easy at Relic 5. Relic 7, they're a little bit nuanced. You have to have some good RNG. And in the Relic 9, they get a bonus again. But Relic 8 is hard. But if we're wanting to do as few Relic 9s as possible, it's pretty much what you have to do, because if you're not able to split the Dark Side clones, we are really only limited to 4 real teams. Now, you can get this bottom team to beat the second lowest tier, which will yield another 450,000 points. Granted, this says Gear 12. Do realize that I just mean the Gear 12 tier. I don't think this will actually work with them at Gear 12. I've only been able to barely do it at their current relic levels and their current modding. So that is going to be the second method, which involves the lowest amount of R9s. The next one is going to be much heavier and also a little bit future-proofed, possibly, and that is going to be taking Tarkin and the clones all the way up to Relic 9 for either one of 2 reasons. Number 1, quality of life, or possibly number 2, and knock on wood here, that they get nerfed. As of right now, CG has not even, to my knowledge, talked about the fact of nerfing this interaction where these 2 teams are able to fully max at Relic 9. That being said, there's pretty credible proof right now in-game that CG is not a fan of undersizing. If you pull up the details for the raid and look into Lord Vader's kit, it says that at the start of the battle, Lord Vader has 25 stacks of execute, reduced to 15 if there are fewer than 5 enemies. I'm guessing this happened either because of the Naboo raid or maybe even the Endor raid, where we were very consistently undersizing. In fact, it was ideal in some scenarios to undersize, and I think they were really wanting to push away from that. And while there are other teams out there that can undersize, like Kelleran Beck and Mace Windu, those 2 teams I don't think were really meant to be a part of the same team. Dark Side clones, definitely made to be a part of the same team. So I don't know if they're getting nerfed, but I think it's not entirely off the table until we go through at least a week or 2 of them being aware of this. At any rate, taking them to R9 and using them as one team is still a great option, especially for quality of life. If we do that, we could also do the same with Mace for previously stated reasons. We can also do Kelleran Beck, but in addition to doing him to R8, also taking the rest of the team there so we don't have to mess with the kind of pesky 3-man version that I've been talking about for most of this video so far. While again, that 3-man team is possible, you do have to have a heavy amount of RNG to pull it off, because if Jocasta or Kelleran Beck are hard targeted with Order 66 and knocked out at the beginning of the battle, it's an immediate restart. So it is, again, a possibility of something you can do, but by adding in Ayla, Plo, Shaak Ti for the whole team, the odds of Order 66 falling on one of them is higher because 3 is a bigger number than 2. If you do that, you can also take Bad Batch to R7, which, again, as previously stated in the video, is really not that hard to pull off from the overall mechanics. R5 is easiest, but R7, again, pretty easily doable if you're willing to restart a time or 2 if they hard focus anyone but Crosshair after Wrecker goes down. And then again, using this Barriss, Hondo, Enfys Nest team that can get its way through the 450,000 tier. So by then, having 2 full R9 teams, an R8 team, R7 team, and a Gear 12 team, you can max out the personal rewards. This is what I've kind of titled the quality of life, because it does involve significantly more relic levels than all the other 2 methods we've looked at so far, but it's also going to give you 5 teams that are really not going to require all that many restarts by using them this way. Now, the 4th and final method is going to be the least detailed, and that's just going to be to wait. One of the issues that's going on right now is that we really only have, if you're not splitting Dark Side clones, we really only have 4 teams for the raid. And to be able to do the Dark Side clones at a minimum, they really all need to be Relic 9. So basically what I'm getting at is, if you want to really stay in the R8 tier area for all of your raid needs, you can't really do it right now, because the only way to get to the full 5 teams to be able to get that many points is by taking one of them to R9. So if you want to keep Bad Batch at 7, these 3 teams at R8, we really are going to be relying on Pirates to be able to do that. Those are not Pirates. That was Traya, and she is on defense. We're going to be relying on Pirates to do it, and we just don't have enough information on them right now. In fact, we don't even have a 5 kits out right now to be able to do so. And in reality, the teams that are going to be the best and that can maybe undersize or maybe work at the min-maxing with relics is probably going to be the Galactic Legend or the Conquest units. So that is going to be it for today. Let me know what you guys think. I realize these are not the only options out there, so go ahead and tell me in the comments, what splits are you planning to be able to max or at least get to your personal best in the raid? Until the next time, thanks for watching and stay awesome.